Success in Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
FinancialSurvivalNetwork.com. I'm Kerry Lutz, and it's time for another Triple Lutz Report. It's called The Death of Money. That's the next book. Jim is going to be on the show next Tuesday. You don't want to miss that one. That's going to be a great interview on April 15th, Tax Day, and we'll be covering that book in depth. I'm going to try to get Michael Lewis on. I'm not overly optimistic, but going back to Flash Boys, A Wall Street Revolt. Okay, so I'm halfway through the book, and the thing about Michael Lewis's books is there's always heroes, there's always villains. Sometimes the villains are sympathetic villains, sometimes they're very evil people, sometimes they're in the middle. These villains, so far they haven't been that well identified. Actually, they've been more identified, interestingly enough, after the book is released. But it's kind of amazing that the way he develops the story. There's this guy, Brad Katsuyama. He's in charge of electronic markets for Royal Bank of Canada. I had a good friend who worked there. He was a trader for a while, was actually there on 9/11, right across the street when the planes hit. But Royal Bank of Canada was also ran on the street. Nobody much cared about them, what they did. They were kind of invisible. And, he's there and he notices there's something wrong with the markets. And he studies it, and he wants to get to the bottom of it. And the book is kind of his journey to fix the theft that's going on in the markets. And the theft all comes down to these new stock markets that have come to be as a result of the tech revolution. So all these exchanges have kind of just popped up. And they're all at different distances from the big banks, the stockbrokers, and as orders get placed, because they've mastered the telecommunications system, and I'm not giving you any spoilers here, you've probably seen this, they're able to pretty much hijack the order system and pretty much see the order before it hits the market and then go and buy the shares before the order gets completed and sell them to the person placing the order at a higher price. And I've even seen this done in my own little dumb trading for little stocks that aren't really traded that much. Not lately, haven't really been doing much of it. But you see this thing and you know that something's going on here, that something's not right. And Brad Katsuyama found this. He saw what was going on. And he said, wait a second, this just isn't right. And he assembles a team of experts to deconstruct the existing market system and then to come up with a way that basically for him and his clients not to get ripped off. And it's billions and billions of dollars that are getting stolen this way simply by, I know you want to buy 100,000 shares of Microsoft at $30 at the market. I sell you 100 right away first, and then I go hopscotching you, jumping ahead of you, buying up those shares so that you can't get them at the quote that showed up on your screen, and then I go and sell them to you. And it's called front running, and evidently it's legal under the existing rules of the markets, but it's not going to be for much longer now. And if this were the only type of corrupt practice going on Wall Street, in the financial markets, I think we could all live with it. But high frequency fraud is taking place all over the place. As Michael Lewis said in an interview with Charlie Rose, LIBOR, currency trading, he didn't talk about precious metals, and everybody likes to avoid that topic, but interest rate swaps, every market is rigged. So to think that precious metals aren't rigged, I think you got to be pretty optimistic that somehow precious metals are special. It's a special market, that they've avoided the rigors of all the other markets, or you just have to believe that that somehow the integrity of the market is still present here. And, let's face it, Bix Weir, Gata have been talking about this for years. And I believe that, the markets are getting rigged. All of them, any market, take your pick. It doesn't matter what. And it's part of the corruption, as we talked about with James Turk. When you don't have sound money, when your money is corrupt, everything it touches becomes corrupt, whether it's your medical system, your college, higher education, finance system, it's all corrupt. And unfortunately, they never asked Michael Lewis what he thought of the precious metals markets. I'd love to see him write a book about the fraud in precious metals, because it would rival everything he found in the Flash Boys. And what's going to happen now is they're going to write rules that will stop this. The most amazing thing to me is they traced back the evolution of flash trading, high-frequency trading, high-frequency fraud to the crash of '87, when basically stockbrokers refused to answer their phones. You couldn't place orders. Then they created this thing, the small order execution system, so that small traders could get their orders through no matter what. Guys like my late friend Harvey Houtkin figured out how to manipulate that system. And then eventually electronic trading with no human intervention evolved. And then it became a race to see who could get their trades in the fastest. And once that happened, Harvey had what was called then an ECN. It's now an electronic stock exchange. He wound up selling it off to Knight, which is one of the Flash Boys. They have the exchange, and the Flash Boys buy and sell stock on that exchange. And nobody wanted to do anything about this because the big banks were involved. And, who wants to rock the boat, even though they knew they were getting ripped off for millions? And that's the problem. The lethargy, the just go along to get along. In the market, people are content to just watch the mass ripoff occur. And what this Michael Lewis book is really great about, though, what it's really great for, is showing you exactly what's happening in every market. It's really a blueprint of the way that markets are manipulated and will continue to be manipulated until this whole thing really comes to a screeching halt, of which it will. No question about it. It's inevitable. It has to happen. And it's just a matter of one. And, it's just breathtaking, though, how they hit it and they hit it. And, it just happens. There's something in Zero Hedge that the BATS CEO, that's a stock exchange, William O'Brien, when confronted on MSNBC last week with the fact that HFT algos commit millions of acts that are specifically prohibited by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission regulation, NMS, that's National Market System, requires that brokers, to guarantee customers the best possible execution of price on orders. He argued that HFT programs have no clients. And, come on. This is just silly. The core code of BATS was derived from a trade bot computer that engages in algorithmic trading. And there's only one possible way that O'Brien's claim that HFT programs have no clients can be true: if the HFT programs were artificially intelligent, self-aware programs that made all decisions independent of the interest of the people that coded them and the bankers that used them, then perhaps his claim could be true. But and I know that this is ridiculous, that as long as bankers hire programs to code these algorithms and employ them for their benefit or disadvantage of their competitors, then obvious the clients of the HFT programs are the bankers and the hedge funds that are using them. So they're just ripping them off. But, now they have to act. But the other thing was they picked on this Russian guy, Sergei Alyekov. He's the only guy that went to jail who worked for Goldman and spent a year in jail until finally the Second Circuit put their foot down and said, you can't throw this guy in jail for taking data from a program that was never going to be put into interstate commerce, a technical part. But the cool thing is that Zero Hedge, in this article, I highly recommend you take a look at. It says the one revelation about HFT programs that truly scares bankers. It's not stock market rigging, and it's showing how they rig the gold market. It just shows how they do it. Gold loses more than $30 an ounce in less than a minute. And here's the thing. All this HFT stuff, all the algos, the reason why they've let it go on is because it works to the benefit of the government when the government wants to employ it, when the government wants to keep the indexes up to make it look like the market is behaving properly, like prosperity is just around the corner, like everything's good because the stock market's going up. They use these HFT bots to do that. So that's what you need to think about. Anyway, hey, want to mention our new sponsor, Owings Metals. Not just a sponsor, I'm also a customer. Okay, they've got an array of products and services that, their service, you buy it, you get it really fast. I bought some Silver Eagles. Boom, they were here. I think I got them in less than a week, if not no more than a week from the day I ordered. Seth and Kevin, great guys. Wearable gold, ask them about that. That is something really cool that helps you avoid tariffs and other penalties when you travel with your gold overseas. You need to understand how that works. Competitive prices. I looked at the price I paid for my Eagles. I don't think I could have done any better anywhere else. And all around good guys. So if you want to reach out to them, just call them for a quote. Get comfortable with them. And don't just call them. Call up several companies. You know who the good guys are out there. Just be careful. Split your purchases up. Do not make all your purchases at one time. I recommend you do that anyway because the market is volatile. Nenner's saying tradable low by July. That's only a couple months off. Split your purchases up over several months. That way, if something goes wrong, you're not going to lose all your money, okay? Do this, all right? This is the way I've always purchased gold. Call up Seth at 855-604-6343, 855-604-6343. They're going to be giving you some specials out there, and just tell them I sent you. You can also go to their website, owingsmetals.com, owingsmetals.com. They're great guys. I wouldn't recommend them if they weren't. So just remember, good sponsor, good people, great service, and you get your metals when you order them. Okay. So getting back to high frequency fraud, the fraudulence in the system is all over. And, they give examples in this Zero Hedge article of fraud all over. But, the fraud is taking place. It's widespread. Just look at the 7.1 million signups on Obamacare if you want to look at fraud. It's just such pure garbage. I can't even believe sometimes that people can go for this. Looking at an Investors Business Daily editorial by John Merline, and he's saying that on April 1st, the administration announced 7.1 million people had signed up for Obamacare by the end of March, which seemed a nearly impossible achievement. In every month before, signups lagged behind the administration's original forecast by wide margins and had fallen 1.4 million behind by the end of February. And in mid-March, the AP said it would take close to a miracle just to reach 6 million. An Iran survey out this week puts enrollment by early March at less than 4 million. So to reach 7.1 million signups, it had to rocket by 67% in 1 month. Okay? And that's astounding enough, but an IBD review of existing Obamacare enrollment data shows that the mathematical challenge of reaching 7.1 million signups was even tougher. The 14 state-run exchanges, plus the one by D.C., had already put out final signups through March 31st. Signups in these states totaled 2.4 million. The remaining 36 states relied on healthcare.gov, and at the start of March, they had 2.6 million signups. So you were looking at 5 million, so they had to get 2.1 million more from these 36 states, and they had to boost their numbers by 80%. And what's more, 7 of these federal exchange states have revealed their sign-up numbers through the end of March. And assuming their numbers were correct, these 7 states account for more than 590,000 of the 7.1 million signups. So this leaves 29 states that must have added almost 2 million Obamacare enrollees in March, which was an eye-popping 90% increase in just the last month of the 6-month open enrollment period. Sounds a little incredible, doesn't it? And, Robert Lazuski, who's got a consulting firm, we've quoted him often, said, "I can't imagine they got the enrollment numbers wrong." But he noted that such an increase is wildly out of proportion compared to the other reported March enrollment gains. And signups in the state-run exchanges, for example, climbed an average of 46% in March. So various experts note that signups could have climbed far faster in states that relied on healthcare.gov, if only because of the site's disastrous rollout in fall. But come on, populous states such as Florida and Texas, the argument goes, could have seen far bigger gains in March than California or New York, which had well-functioning state exchanges all along, which they did not. I tried signing in New York. It didn't work right for the first couple of weeks. But, it just doesn't sound right that states that relied on healthcare.gov and that have reported total signups through March 31st haven't seen gains anywhere near 90%. Alabama's was 40%, Delaware's 22%, West Virginia was only 40%. The biggest gain was South Carolina at 74%, New Mexico at 76%. So by mid-March, Georgia was only up 27%, Ohio 23%, Arizona 39%, Mississippi 25%, Arkansas 22% by the end of March. So, it's just not possible. And, the admin did hold enrollment open past March 31 so that anyone who started the sign-up process before the deadline could still enroll into April, but these inline applications aren't part of the 7.1 million number. HHS announced that 400,000 have since signed up, boosting the total number to 7.5 million. But look, even if this did happen, we know that 15 to 20% of the people are never going to pay the first month's premium, probably even more than that. So we can knock off $1.5 million right off the top there, which brings it down to 6 million. I'm sure the numbers are cooked. I'm sure they're 30-40% higher than they shouldn't be. Guaranteed. And in the past, the administration, has released official sign-up data that is real questionable. Point is, it's just like high-frequency fraud. It's a statistic coming out of the government. Do you believe that the inflation rate is only 2%? Do you believe that only 6.7% of the population is unemployed? Do you believe that that GDP is increasing at 2.5% or that it's actually contracting, like John Williams at shadowstats.com says. I mean, you're being bombarded with fraudulent numbers everywhere you look. And hey, by the way, we talked about last week people running from New York. Well, they're also fleeing from my birth state of New Jersey as well. The study came out. High taxes are costing New Jersey billions of dollars in revenue. High earning residents are fleeing the state. Fox News came up with this exodus on the Parkway, completed by Regent Atlantic last year, but held for publication until after the 2013 elections. I wonder why. The study said it intentionally held its results as 2014 is not an election year for state legislators, and it will hopefully encourage a serious and objective dialogue aimed at addressing and solving challenges that New Jersey currently faces. Well, good luck on that. But the study shows that the state's steadily been losing high net worth residents since 2004, when Governor Jim, he was a Democrat, Jim McGreevey, signed the millionaires tax into law. The law raised the state income tax 41% on those earning $500,000 or more a year. And the inception of this tax, coupled with New Jersey's already high property and estate tax, leaves no mystery about why the term tax migration has become a buzzword among state residents, financial, legal, and political professionals, the study states. So this is what happens. People vote with their feet. And I did get an email from a guy by the name of Toby saying, that Texas things were bad. He outlined a number of things he didn't like about the state. Fact is, Texas might have high property taxes, but they still don't have a state income tax. It's still cheaper to live there. Fuel taxes are lower. Sales taxes are lower. And there's a number of benefits, financial benefits to living in Texas. Has its own electrical grid, which I didn't know about until I was watching How the States Got Their Shapes, which is a great show that you should check out if you have a chance to. And the fact is it's growing 3 times as fast as the high tax states. He didn't like Corpus Christi. He said that there's a lot of petrochemical plants around there and the air stinks. Move someplace else where the air doesn't stink if you don't like it there. And he said the taxes were too high. Crime in Houston was bad. Weather in Houston was bad. There must be some place in Texas that offers good quality of life and good weather. I mean, I don't know the state that well. My son lives there. He seems to like it okay. You must be able to find some place there, Toby. But thanks for writing. And hey, don't forget, write us, kl@kerrylutz.com. Anything you have to say. Follow us at Kerry Lutz, KERRYLUTZ. Follow us at the Financial Survival Network on Facebook and subscribe on iTunes. Just go to the iTunes store, type in podcast Financial Survival Network, subscribe. You'll automatically get all of our episodes. That's it for this week. It's been another Triple Lutz Report. This is Kerry Lutz signing off.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Urgent alert. Ex-Secret Service agent claims it's worse than people know. One of Obama's former Secret Service agents recently smelled a rat. What he discovered inside our government was so devastating, he only saw one option. He quit. What's worse, he fears what he found could affect your job, your neighborhood, and most importantly, your family, very soon. It's worse than people know, he said in a recent interview, and I'm not trying to scare you either. We too share his concerns. This is why we've devoted the better part of 3 years collecting solutions for nearly all problems created by intrusive governments, and we've succeeded. Go to hiddensecrets1.info to check out all the details. Our panel of insiders have devised a legal but sneaky set of solutions to help you reclaim your privacy from the NSA, opt out of Obamacare, and make a bundle from little-known investments and small business opportunities. Simply visit hiddensecrets1.info. That's hiddensecrets1.info.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
When your accountant wants tax-free income, this is what he does. Accountants know the law. They also know that any American could legally get paid up to 3 times per month, 100% tax-free. That's 36 tax-free checks each year. It doesn't matter what you make already. This simple strategy could work for anyone. Go to www.irsrevenge2.com to learn how. That's irsrevenge2.com.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.